Good afternoon. My name is Sterling Gerard. My mentor is Dr. Zhang. And this week, I was able to explore virtual reality using Oculus Quest 2, using Unreal Engine 5, which is a journey throughout the immersive virtual world. This week, I was able to take an introduction into the virtual reality. I was understanding what virtual reality is meaning, which virtual reality is a medium that helps immerse users into stimulated environments, allowing more interaction with non-existent elements. Immersion is the feeling of being engaged into a virtual environment. Presence is achieved through technologies like MetaQuest 2 to help create 3D illusions and spatial audio. Degrees of freedom is the way that we're able to look at different objects that are in space. There's 6 degrees of freedom. You have yaw, pitch, roll, and forward, backward, and vertical. Within this, you are able to gather different types of materials. Within my research, I had to look at the different hardwares. So the 2 hardwares that I have to create this immersive environment is the Oculus Quest 2, which is the standalone hardware which you engage in putting on, blocking your peripheral, and being able to dive into an immersive environment with a 3D camera, using different head motions, rotating. The Oculus Quest 2 is a wireless headset that will help bring more of a 3D spatial tracking, so you can use hand controllers that create certain vibrations whenever you interact with objects. You can use the controllers to be able to interact, such as grabbing objects or interacting with objects. And then you have the role of motion controllers, which helps aid the users for object manipulation. And these are the key components that I will need to be able to create the immersive environment. Briefly, enhancing and engaging with the VR space. So looking back throughout the global pandemic, I was able to see an awareness within children that were set behind because of the closure of the world. So the benefits of this will be able to help reduce the cost of physical educational standalone buildings. VR headsets will also help bring a new educational suspense and awareness so that you can create virtual classrooms for students, such as virtual learning, virtual tutoring. You can also help children with different phobias from leaving home, such as any of the young learners from the ages of K through 12. Currently, right now, there's not that much research discussing the children that are in primary education, but this VR technology is able to help improve concentration, collaborative skills, technological literacy, help aid children with becoming more of innovators, cognitive thinking. This will also help kids have more exploration, creativity, and learn how to discover who they are as a person to work on standalone projects and not have to go back to traditional classroom settings, such as always reading textbooks, but also to listen to instructors that can help guide them through different processes and understand the different modules to help increase their education with immersive learning. So you could do this by having interactive storytelling for STEM education for child development, such as puzzles, drawing, such as arts. You can even create character creation, educational games, such as you can create multiple different factors inside of the VR environment to help bring more awareness to not just um, secondary education, but also to early STEM technological experience for the new education system. So to help optimize some of this, you will need fine-tuned lighting, material effects. You can optimize performance for more smoother VR experiences. So instead of having more of a stochastic kind of rigid uh, um, visual representation, you want to be able to have the aids of images of the 3D models to be rendering in a very smooth transitions. You want to be able to test the character in the environment to be able to have more 3D spawns. So where you have more teachers and also create more live in and outgoing players to create more of a immersive, collaborative virtual classroom. So also we will need to create and integrate more audio elements so that the kids can be able to have a, an experience that will help engage students with certain sounds, tones, and when they're interacting with certain elements to create it fun and help build their confidence within the virtual environment. Performing these user testings, we will have to make sure that we gather the physics that is encompassed within each of the vector spaces of the environment, such as the static meshes, making sure the geometries are well fitting. And these achievements can be improving the aesthetics, creating more realistic lighting effects, dynamic character experiences, successful integrations, and I will also continue making progress throughout this immersive virtual environment. Some of the challenges that I was facing this week was lowering the resolution to make sure that I had a maintainable frame rate that was to make sure that students were not having cyber sicknesses. We have noticed that based from certain researches that if the frame rates are at a certain milliseconds, it can cause different seizures. So with creating something ethically and making sure that the safety concerns, I wanted to reduce this motion sickness when creating interactive scenes and objects within head movements and being considerate for photosynthesis users to not cause different seizures. Some of my recent accomplishments was setting up the Unreal Engine environment, joining the Oculus organization, and I also had to render a new graphics card. Some of the challenges that I had to face was optimizing these scene assets, making sure that my textures, my static meshes, ensuring low latency for responsive interactions, achieving great resolutions to maintain accessible and acceptable visual qualities. This next week I'll be able to dive more into the immersive virtual reality book, look more into literature reviews, continuously setting up the Unreal Engine 5. I've installed the software tools such as my Android developer. I've also did the software developer kit, and I want to continue to grow this project and content creation to help create more of an enhancement for early STEM education for children.